For those of you in the 3D printing community that have been living under a rock for the past month, you might be surprised to learn that Bambu Labs has decided to lock down their ecosystem even further than it has already been locked down. I'll leave a link down in the description that will link you to a video to kind of explain in depth what the problem is and what it means for the future of Bambu Labs printers. But for me personally, I'm a huge fan of the open source movement, so much so that I've bought a number of Voron printers. I converted my Ender 5 into a Mercury 1, and I absolutely loved the Prusa printers that I've had over the years. However, for ease of use and features and honestly, just quality of the prints, I've invested a lot of money in Bambu Labs printers over the last year. That's what makes today's video so difficult for me, because I got my shipping notification a couple weeks ago that my Bambu Labs A1 Mini that I purchased before the new year was on its way. And I told myself I wasn't going to buy another Bambu Labs printer, and this A1 Mini went below $200 and I purchased it. And then the news came out that Bambu Labs was going to be locking down and securing their firmware. So I didn't know what I wanted to do. I've had the printer sitting in my office now in the box for about a week, and I finally decided that I'm going to open it and I am going to set it up as part of my print farm. And I think it's going to be the last Bambu Labs printer that I buy. And again, the video that I'll link to you will kind of explain why, but ultimately, I don't like closed source ecosystems. I like the idea that before I could purchase add-ons for the Bambu Labs printers that weren't necessarily manufacturer recommended, but that would work with the printer. And I like using outside slicers. I like using what I want to use with my hardware. And because of that, I think in the future, if I purchase another printer, it's going to be the Prusa series line of printers. And whether it's the Mark IV or the new Core 1, I think I'm done with Bambu Labs. Before we start with the unboxing, I have to address the red elephant in the room. Yes, I am a Chiefs fan. Yes, I am from the Kansas City area. And yes, I'm rooting for them to get their third Super Bowl in a row. So with that, let's get to the box. This is my Bambu Labs A1 Mini printer. It arrived on my doorstep in questionable condition. I'll show you that. The box here has seen better days, so I'm hoping what is inside the box survived the trip here. I'm going to speed this up and go over the audio because there is just a cacophony of noise here since the plastic and the box are so near the microphone. But needless to say, I was impressed with the packaging. They did a fantastic job of putting this in the box and sending it out. So what do we have in here? It looks like this is our accessories kit. Like some screws in here and some tools. This looks like our nozzle wiper. And what do we drop here? Oh, this is the piano music box. I haven't seen this one in one of my printers yet. Our spool holder. And this comes with a PEI sheet standard. This comes with the PEI sheet standard. I am going to upgrade that to match either the cryo grip plates that I have or the plate from Bambu Labs. That should be on its way here shortly. We have our quick start guide, and that looks like it is it. So let's go ahead and we'll open up the instructions and we'll start putting this together. It looks like in the quick start guide, you get some fantastic little stickers here, and you do get a card, and then with all of the printers they've given me, there is usually a card in there or a QR code somewhere that if you scan the QR code, it will take you to their website and go step by step on how to set this up. And again, their other faults aside, I will say that Bambu Labs has made 3D printing for beginners very easy. So we have our what's in the box, and we'll get started. It wants you to unlock it first. So we'll turn this around. And we have to remove the 4 screws that are installed here on the Z-axis that lock the cantilever arm in place. Turn that around so you can see it. I cannot stress how easy these printers are to set up. Between the video guides on Bambu Lab's website and the picture manual, it only takes about 10 minutes to unbox and set this printer up. And we are supposed to remove the foam padding, and we're supposed to cut the zip tie. All right, I think we have everything removed. Next, so there are 3 screws here on the Y carriage, the bed plate carriage here, that we are supposed to tighten on the corners. Next up, it wants us to install the purge wiper here on the end of the arm. Looks like it'll slide in right here. And then we should have a screw here in our pack. This should help us let us get installed. So it does say they're in the accessory box. It looks like it's in this little kit right here. And going back to what I was saying earlier about Bambu Labs making it easy, it literally says for purge wiper. So there should not be any confusion. Yeah, looks like that. All right, purge wiper is installed. And next up is the spool holder. So as with our purge wiper, we do have a bag here that's labeled for spool holder. And we need the plate to install first. All right, and then the spool holder should just slide on there. And that's very firm. Now, next it wants us to hook up the PTFE tube that's going to run from the tool head over here to the feed tube. I did have to do some digging. The bag with the PTFE tube is actually buried in the bottom of the box. We do leave this 4-piece inlet here, which is primarily used for your AMS light, if you have one of those. And then our clip here will hold the PTFE tube and the cable to each other. It looks like the next step is to power on the printer, so I'll get it plugged in and we'll take care of that. All right, we have it plugged in. Let's go ahead and turn it on. After powering on the printer, it'll take you through a series of self-guided calibration steps, and you'll also enter in your password, and if you're so inclined, you can pair the printer with the Bambu Handy app or use Bambu Connect. This is going to allow you to send your files through the cloud or straight from MakerWorld to your printer. I do know that, especially with the recent controversy, there's a lot of consternation over using the Bambu Handy app and using their cloud service to print. I do choose to use it primarily because while I'm at work, I would like to be able to check on the status of the prints. Typically, my wife is home most of the day but when she's not, it is nice to be able to remotely enable or disable the printer. As this calibration is going on, I did notice it actually failed the first bed leveling test. I was able to rectify this. I just removed the build plate, did a quick wipe down of the surface, and it ended up being just fine on the next go. Out of the box, the A1 Mini here has given me more trouble than actually I've had with any of my other printers. It did fail the bed leveling calibration on the first go, so I had to redo that. But now that that has been completed, I'm going to go ahead and lubricate the Y rails, which it directs you to do after the calibration, and then we'll set up our first print. After the initial calibration, it's going to direct you to lubricate your Y rail, which we'll go ahead and do now. It does come in your accessory kit, at least the first bit of oil that you need. I'll use my knife here to nip the tip, just the tip. Not enough of the tip. There we go. All right, I do remove the build plate when I do this, just in case there's any leakage. But just a little line there. And a little bit on the bottom. With that, we should be ready to install our filament and do our first print. This will be my first time loading filament into the A1 Mini, and just for ease of use, I'm going to load a Bambu Lab spool that I have here of matte red. I am a huge sucker for the matte colors. I think they look a lot better. I understand that there are some drawbacks, at least structurally, for using matte, but I can't argue with the look of it. I am used to having an AMS on all of my other Bambu Labs printers, so it'll be kind of interesting to see. I don't know that there's NFC reader capability built in without the AMS light. We'll go ahead and set up our filament. Well, the process appears to be just like loading any other filament on any of my other printers. It's just a little bit more labor than on the AMS unit, since you have to load everything in and then you have to actually manually select the Bambu Labs filaments. All right, we have the filament loaded now after the calibration. It did fail its first bed leveling, so I'm hoping that this one works. And we were able to load the red matte PLA, which is probably my favorite color and favorite type of PLA. I would like to see what the speedboat benchy looks like, so that's going to be our first print. The file said 18-minute benchy, and 18-minute benchy is what we got. I could not be happier with my 18-minute benchy. It definitely goes faster than my speedboat race benchy on my Prusa Mini, which again, this is kind of designed for me to replace or supplement my Mini. I'll likely be taking this to the craft fairs when we go. I do have a video talking about that as well if you're... I couldn't be happier with my 18-minute benchy. It is exactly what I was looking for. There are a few inconsistencies in some of the gaps here and a little bit with the cooling on some of the overhangs, but for 18 minutes, I don't really have any complaints. So what do I intend to use this printer for? Well, there are a number of things that we produce that are single color, or at least single filament. We might use rainbow filament for items. And that's what this is for rapid prototyping, for producing single color prints that I need to do quickly and that I don't necessarily want to use a larger printer for, which I usually dedicate to printing full plates of items. Additionally, I'd like to start taking this printer with me to the craft fairs that we do. It's been one of the largest draw items at any of our fairs. I typically take my Prusa Mini, but still to this day, a large number of people have never seen a 3D printer in action. And just allowing people to see what a 3D printer does and how it does it draws in a crowd. And ultimately, getting people to the display is just as important as what we choose to display. And this printer, I think, is going to be a fantastic draw item. My closing thoughts. I think this is an amazing printer that's been produced by a company with some questionable values. Ultimately, I understand why Bambu Lab has done what they've done. Keeping their ecosystem closed allows for them to increase their profit. At the same time, they're able to do it under the guise of security. I don't think that the average consumer is going to notice a difference between buying a Bambu Labs printer and having it closed source, or buying another open source printer and being able to make modifications to it. So for people like myself that started with open source printers or like the idea of having open source printers so that I can make modifications at my own choosing, I think Bambu is not the way to go. In the future, I'm probably going to go Prusa only, with the possibility of looking at some of the other companies out there like Soval and possibly Anycubic. But for now, this is what we have in our print farm, and I don't see the Bambu Labs printers going anywhere anytime soon. As they start to die and need to be replaced, who knows what the market will look like in 2 to 3 years from now. For now, the Bambu Labs printers are going to stay in my print farm. I won't be purchasing any more of them, both for their corporate philosophy and also my wife would kill me. But I don't know what's going to happen long-term with Bambu and whether or not they're going to change course. But whether or not they choose to, it's obvious that that's what they want to do. And for a corporate philosophy, it's not something that I want to support. In the interim, these guys are going to be working in our print farm, and I am going to run them until they're no longer usable. To replace them, who knows what's going to be around in 1, 2, or 3 years when these printers eventually die. But whatever it is, I'm going to be going open source. And I highly recommend that you consider doing the same. Thank you guys for joining me for this unboxing and allowing me to talk to you a little bit about my thoughts on Bambu Lab. If you like this video, you want to see more like it, please click that like and subscribe button and turn on those notifications. Until next time, I'm Eric, and this is Rowdy's Prints.